talk is out that they are willing to break up the whole team, right? And everybody's calling. And that's what's been going on. It's a fire sale. It's, put it on the market. Tell me what you want. Who you want? You want, hey, what you got for me? Huh?
A handful of dominant teams from last season will not be the same going into this next season. After this previous season just ended, it left a lot of fans wondering how good a handful of these dominant teams are going to be next season. But the reality is, a handful of these dominant teams, to name a few, like the Celtics, the Pacers, the Bucks, the Mavs, and more that I'm going to mention later on in this video, may be in some trouble next season. So in this video, I'm going to give my reasons as to why a handful of these dominant teams from last season may have a worse season coming up. I'm Mike, and I've been a basketball fan for many years now, so thank you for watching my new basketball channel on YouTube, Mike Swish. Let's get into it. Even though only one team can ultimately win, the end of the 24-25 season had a lot of fans hyped for this next season. And the reality is, so much has recently happened that changes everything. Alright, to start, this first team is considered one of the better teams in the league, yet this previous season they did leave a lot of fans let down, and they were wrapped up in a bunch of controversy, which makes me think that this coming season, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. This first team is the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavs have been under extreme amount of pressure ever since the Luka trade, and their GM, Nico Harrison, has been staying 10 toes down on his decision. But no one, for some reason, has been addressing the biggest concern, which is Kyrie's health. If you remember, Kyrie tore his ACL in March, which ended his season. And as of right now, experts are predicting the quickest return would be in January of 2026. And that's the earliest prediction. Others are predicting in a more realistic time frame, which would be Kyrie coming back after the All-Star break. But what is Kyrie saying about it? Well, he's in no rush to return. He stated, "Don't hold your breath on that. I just want to be back 150,000% better. I'm taking my time to really get healthy and enjoying this recovery process." Now, if he ends up coming back after the All-Star break, I strongly believe that he would struggle to meet the same level of play that we're used to seeing from him. It is incredibly difficult to come back at a high level from an injury like that, and on top of that, he will be 34 years old in his return, which is pretty old for the NBA. Kyrie is the brains of the team, meaning he's the playmaker, and I think without him, the team will struggle greatly. Now, I do believe that the Mavs have the talent, obviously, to make the playoffs again, but I don't know, and I can't confidently say that they have the talent to actually be contenders this next season. Now, they did sign DAngelo Russell, which will help keep them afloat, but I think DAngelo filling Kyrie's shoes, those are some big shoes to fill, to be honest with you. But he's obviously talented enough to give the team a nice boost, but he's just not as nice as Kyrie. And I know people were going to mention Cooper Flagg, who is obviously a huge pickup, but the point is Kyrie is the one who makes the plays happen, and he won't be there for a majority of the season. Speaking of not being there for a majority of the season, Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum are both not going to be there next season. Let's talk about the Pacers first, the team that honestly shocked the world this past season. The Pacers had one of the unluckiest losses we've seen in a long time. I mean, going into the finals, everyone had OKC winning this. Even if you didn't want OKC to win, the smart money was there, even if it was just an edge. When Tyrese Halliburton got injured in Game 7, everyone officially knew the series was over. Since the end of the season, the Pacers went on record to say Halliburton would miss the entire next season. This ultimately ruins their chances of being a dominant team next season. On top of that, they traded Miles Turner, who was a big man who was a perfect asset to them because he was able to stretch the floor and hit those timely threes when they needed it. Do I think the Pacers are still going to be a good team next season? Yes. Do I think the Pacers are going to be nearly as good as they were this past season? I'm going to confidently say no. I think this next season, they're going to have to rely on TJ McCollum heavily, which I do think will take TJ to the next level, but sadly, it won't be enough to be contenders again. Now, let's circle back to Jason Tatum and the Celtics, who I literally think made the strangest decisions this offseason. Well, obviously, Jason Tatum tore his Achilles in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Many people are expecting him to miss the entire next season. Even if he did return, it would be at such a late time that it probably wouldn't even be worth him risking injuring his leg again, or even disrupting the Celtics' chemistry that they may have built throughout the season. within the playoffs. But let's assume he's not coming back next season because that's the most realistic outcome. The Celtics traded Porzingis and Jrue Holiday. Even though Porzingis wasn't the healthiest while playing there, he still is a great big man when he's healthy. And Jrue Holiday is also a great defender that absolutely helped the Celtics on the defensive end and was an additional playmaker that they had on the team. There's also been talks about Horford being interested in leaving the Celtics. Now, the Celtics are another team I still think will make the playoffs, but I don't see them going far in the postseason. I think this moment is going to be huge for Jaylen Brown, and he's going to have to carry the entire weight of the franchise on his back for them to even be relevant next season. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Jaylen Brown responds to that pressure this coming season. You know, with all the talks of who's better between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I think that question is going to be answered this season, to be honest. You know, the way I view it is Tatum has a higher ceiling than Brown. At this point in their career, you can make the argument that they're around the same skill. But let's move on. I think the next dominant team that's going to be in trouble this next season is the Bucks. The Bucks also suffered a terrible loss with losing Damian Lillard to, of course, a torn Achilles. Not only that, but after the injury during this offseason, the Bucks decided to waive him. This trade shocked everyone, including Giannis, who stated he was not pleased with that decision. I mean, I just don't understand what the front office of the Bucks thought would happen by trading one of the best point guards still in the league. Obviously, that statement by Giannis is pretty scary if you're a Bucks fan, because it leaves people wondering, is he going to stay on the Bucks? Or is he looking to go play elsewhere and try to contend for another championship? The Bucks made a small correction by acquiring Miles Turner. That definitely isn't enough for what they lost, and now could potentially lose Giannis, which I wouldn't be surprised if he made it clear he wanted to leave. I don't think Kyle Kuzma is enough of an incentive for Giannis to stay in Milwaukee. Now, I wasn't going to mention this next team, but I just had to, and that's the Denver Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are going to be just as good next year as they were this previous season, but that's depending on if the Joker stays, obviously, in Denver. But him not signing that extension has people wondering what his plan is, where his mind is at. But I will say Denver trading Michael Porter Jr. was dirty. I mean, we're talking about a guy who averaged 18 points in the regular season, and despite having a left shoulder sprain during the playoffs, he went out there and risked injuring it even more. The fact that the Nuggets traded him might impact morale on the team, but we'll see about that. All right, the last team I want to mention is the Lakers. Man, the Lakers just signed DeAndre Ayton, which is a good pickup, but I don't think it's really enough to put them in that next level of possibly being contenders next season. DeAndre Ayton played 40 games for the Blazers last season, so there are concerns about his health moving forward. But if he is healthy, a decent big man would definitely help them not get destroyed by Rudy Gobert in the freaking playoffs. But the biggest controversy is LeBron. Is LeBron going to stay on the Lakers? I'm personally one of the few that seems to believe that the Lakers should do what they can to keep him, but many people disagree and think that the Lakers should trade LeBron and just build around Luka. They spoke about it on Gil's Arena, and Gil said this.
This is year 23, right? So, you know, this is more of his legacy than it is what fans want to see, right? If this is his last year, I'm pretty sure that it makes more sense to be a Cleveland Cavalier.
But LeBron averaged 24 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 8 assists in the regular season. That's still really good numbers. I do think if the Lakers lose LeBron, that will hurt them ultimately. The NBA next season will definitely be interesting to see. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll greatly appreciate it. Also, do you agree with my takes? Let me know in the comments. Peace.